three of you wrote a book all together, correct? Or some of your stories are all included in one book. So why don't you tell us about that?
Well, we've been critique partners for a really long time at this point. Since
7 years?
2008,
nice.
I think.
Yeah. And we had a short fiction blog for a long time where we would write weekly fiction, just kind of one-offs, and this is an expansion of that and our critique relationship. It's a book where we each wrote a longer piece and talked a lot about our thought process, how we were making decisions as we were writing the stories.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if the publisher was just selected you three and you didn't know each other beforehand, but you did. Oh, that's really nice.
We actually wrote a book that came before this that was collected short stories from that blog, and it was basically us showing how writers could be friends and actually critique each other's work. And so we actually wrote this one in response to that one because people asked for a more specifically pedagogical kind of approach to it. So it's actually more of a writing manual. So even though you can read it as stories, you can also read the sidebars and they tell you what we were thinking at the time and how we go and interpret critique from each other.
That's nice. So you sort of went behind the scenes with it. It's funny because my producer beforehand wanted me to ask the three of you if this was competitive, if you feel in competition with each other. but so no, or is there still some competition?
I would say camaraderie. It's much more of kind of a teamwork relationship, and sometimes we're like, I don't know what's the right word, challenging to each other, but it's not competition. It's much more like sport.
We have to have, since we were critique partners, there has to be a level of trust because we give each other our work before anyone else sees it. So even though we tease each other and try to be challenging and joke around a lot, there has to be that bottom level of trust. So I really don't think there is competition. We wouldn't have lasted 8 years as critique partners if we were worried about competing against each other.
No, and we're quite good friends as well. We're staying in an apartment in Chelsea and we slept in the same beds and ate the same food. I mean, we've been best friends for 8 years, so I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of room for competition in artistic.
Right. Yeah. How important is it for writers to have critique partners?
It's the number one piece of advice I give to writers. I run a critique partner matchup every single year on my blog because I think it's so important. And we all have editors because, of course, we all do full-length fiction as well, but we know each other so well that we know when we're not pushing ourselves hard enough in a way that an editor who has known us for a couple of years will never understand.
Right. Is there, what's the best advice you can give to someone starting out in finding or selecting a critique partner?
We met on the internet. The internet is the best resource that you have for that, and as Maggie has a critique partner love connection on her blog.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely, I always tell people, look for a critique partner who reads the same kind of stuff that you love to read. Because there's no point finding a good writer who writes in a totally different genre. They're always going to make your book into something different.
Very nice.
I agree with that. That's what I tell people too, is especially if you want to develop a long-term relationship, you need to have at least a similar similar desire for what you want out of fiction and out of writing.
Right, so it wouldn't work if you're two completely different genres.
Well, genre less isn't as important, but like, are you interested in books with, character arcs where these are the kinds of stories that you're telling, regardless of whether they're paranormal or thrillers or contemporary stories? So, because you have to want to read, I have to want to read their stuff, otherwise I would be bored and put it off and not do a good job.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
My most recent book is called Fiendish. It came out last August, and it is about rednecks and magic.
I'm in the middle of a series called The Raven Cycle, and it's about psychics and fast cars and boys behaving badly in the middle of nowhere, Virginia.
I just finished a series called The United States of Asgard, and it's about Vikings and Viking gods in America.
Very cool. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.